Hello, everybody. Welcome to Failcast F1, the off-season of 2019, continuing to deliver blow-by-blow accounts of everyone that's ever been associated with an energy drink edition. My name is Mr. Bolkenberg, and alongside me, as always, is the man from, I was going to say Japan, that's wrong.
Yeah, fuck it, why not? I'm every other nationality now. Hello, Simon-san. You honour my family. How are you?
With a taco. I am very well, thank you. How are you?
It's superb. I'm superb. I got a care package from my best buddy yesterday, which means today's on-stream beverage is, and for those watching live, is Carling Black Label.
Ooh, you couldn't get more English than that.
That's what used to get me slightly drunk in the park when I was a teenager. Hello, Beetlejuice. Greetings to you, my friend. It's good to see you again. We have so much to talk about, very much to talk about. Why don't we dive straight in, eh? We are at Bahrain.
Yes. We are at Bahrain,
and there's a corner here that throws me like a bucking bronco. Periodically.
Which one, may I ask?
So after the corner, the wanker corner.
Oh, double left.
Yeah, and you get long straight. You come out with a left, and then there's a fast right. And on that fast right, if you catch the inside curb, you are fucked. And that's basically what happens to me all the time.
Yes. Yeah, because I've had to adjust my line for it this year. Hello, Mana. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. We've both pressed the button, but the lobby is still not doing.
Oh, I have to press start event. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. They've made it so much more complicated this year with hosting leaguey things instead of just letting us fuck about. Never mind.
I am wearing Toro Rosso gear, Beetlejuice, but no, my online career doesn't end in the middle of the season. What's been going on there is I'm just dressing for the occasion, like I do for my career mode streams.
I feel like you need to do. Have you ever seen that? It used to be like an art in the mid-90s, early 2000s, where you'd have someone dressed in half clothes one side of their body, half clothes on the other side, and then they would turn and be like a man and a woman and do like different things from different sides. You could do like half Toro Rosso, half Red Bull, just in case you didn't quite know which team you was going to be called into.
Well, probably I'd need three halves, because I'd need Toro Rosso, and I'd need Red Bull, and I would need Tramp on a park bench for when I got fired.
Oh, I thought he was going to talk about Vettel's beard.
Well, a man should always be suitably top-eared. Right, there is so much to talk about, and Beetlejuice has already touched on the Red Bull situation. We are going to cover the crap out of that.
Yes.
First things first, though. I want to share some kinship I've been feeling with Mr. George Russell, who, much like me, is about as popular in Poland as herpes. And he took to autosport.com to talk about it. And unfortunately, he's done the classic thing. When you're being bullied, the key thing is to never let them know that it's getting to you. And certainly don't use the H word. The H word is hurtful. Oh, the AI has just crashed me into the back of Carlos Sainz.
Oh.
Thanks, AI. So now I have to immediately pit in, and I've wasted these tyres.
Okay. Was it Kvyat that you're controlling, or are you Albon?
I am the torpedo, actually, so maybe the AI was just being realistic.
I've just noticed with the new update, the livery, if you look behind, what the fuck is that? I don't remember the rear wing ever looking like that.
Yeah, that's the inside. It used to be Red Bull Cola, but now it's Red Bull Ginger and Red Bull Lemon.
Okay. Oh, it's confusing me. Sorry, that's the first time I've looked behind on this car, like since the update. Sorry. Back to what you were saying.
Yeah, it's alright. No, I'm glad there's been another update. I just haven't driven the new update, the 1.09. This is my first time. It feels better, though, from what I can tell. Beetlejuice points out, he agrees, George could have been cooler about it. And he did say, yeah, you're right, he did say he appreciates their enthusiasm and hopes to have as passionate fans himself one day, which, you know, is a fairly decent response, but he did describe their conduct as hurtful. Now, I'm totally with you on that, George. They are assholes. But I think you kind of let them know that they get to you. But still, I want to take a moment to send my solidarity and friendship across the ocean to George Russell, who's also ill. Now, incidentally, this is bringing me into something really good here. I saw on Williams' social media that George Russell is ill today. Now, coincidentally, today is also the day that Williams are in Poland for a demonstration of the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And even more curiously, is about 3 days ago, George Russell posted on his Instagram a picture of him fishing on a yacht. So it could just be me being paranoid, so tinfoil hats out, everybody, but I have a sneaky suspicion that George just didn't want to go to Poland and has pulled a sickie. just a thought.
Christ, what's
Just
Poink. Yeah, that makes me giggle. There's unless the Polish people have poisoned the fishy waters and he ate what he caught that evening.
Oh no, he was in Greece. He was staying well clear of Poland.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because if he was near some kind of, I don't know, beautiful, well-renowned church, then it could have been Salford, and we all know what goes on down at Salford with the Eastern Bloc. Boom. My car feels
Pun
really...
of the day so far goes to Beetlejuice for pointing out that George didn't want to rocket in Poland. He certainly did not.
I'm
right,
sure
I'm
it's
going to
all
let you through,
harmless.
Vettel, because you're just going to fuck with me.
Right, well, I'm going to have to go for a take two, because for some reason my Rosso of the Toro variety was slippery as fuck. I've not had that slippery on this track. I fancy my chances round here, but not if that's the way it's going to drive.
So anyway, yeah, just wanted to send a bit of love to George Russell and to Williams in general, actually, who have been making some minor steps forward, and I'm pleased to see. So next on my topic list, because there is way more to cover than you might think today. I don't know if you saw this. I spoke to Beetlejuice earlier, actually, and he hadn't seen it. F1's official channels had put out footage of a 2021 concept car in the Sauber wind tunnel.
Yes.
And it just warmed the cockles of my heart to see Sauber being back on top and, you know, being at the forefront of motorsport engineering again after years in the doldrums with no money, because they have such great facilities and staff there, and it's really great seeing them able to leverage it, you know, through running the Alfa Romeo F1 team, but also now through basically having a heavy hand in the aero regulations for 2021. Hashtag Sauber for the constructors.
Oh, please, that alternative reality be true. I did quite like it. What did you think of the actual concept itself? Because when I looked at it, initially I was kind of like, oh, it looks okay to me. And I know the front wing is still work in progress, but there was a few things that kind of made me go, it looks a bit disproportionate. And I don't know if it's just because, you know, when you're used to something and then you're like, what's happened? A bit like me after Christmas, when I try and get back in my clothes. It's not quite the proportions that I remember it to be.
I'm kind of with you on that, but I'm reserving judgment because I remember how much I hated the 2009 cars.
Yeah, yes.
Initially, and then after 5 rounds, I forgot that cars looked different beforehand. Yep. And it's like with the sound on the current formula of cars. I forgot genuinely how good the cars from the 2000s and the 90s sounded. Until today, I saw Schumacher's quali lap from Belgium 2002 and was just absorbed by the sound and fell in love all over again. I was being a bit tongue-in-cheek there, Beetlejuice. But my point is that I'm just glad that they're being able to contribute in this capacity, because they have a world-class wind tunnel, they really do. And getting a contract like that from the FIA or Liberty or whoever gave out the contract for that, probably the FIA, means more money going into Sauber Engineering Group, which in turn, should mean a safer, more stable base for the team as a whole. So it makes me happy. It's very tight between you and I at the front.
I think we'll be good on this one. I think we've been close at Bahrain several times before.
Yeah, Bahrain has started to suit us both.
Yes.
It started, I think, with 2016. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of tracks, actually, that I used to be really horrible at that have gone on to become my strong tracks. Monza in particular. Like, the first 2 times we got to Monza, I had an absolute nightmare. I got disqualified from 1.
And 2,
and
right.
Now,
yeah. Bringing tacos onto the track.
And now I've won it 3 times.
Yeah, that's your little goal now. I need it to be soaking down with rain so that you're so inebriated with alcohol, because that's what normally happens when it pisses down. Then you forget to brake and get disqualified again. Just over 2 tenths. I think we might have slightly different setups because we're wildly different on the first and second sectors.
Yeah, I have 2 setups actually. One I put together myself for my wheel, and one for the pad. And I'm actually really happy with the pad one. It was back when my love for the game was fresh, and I actually spent like all the time in P1, 2 and 3 in career mode building a setup myself to see if I could, and I'm actually really proud of this one.
Hey.
Normally I just steal my setups.
I don't know what's going on with the actual order, because somehow Kubitza's 9th, then it's Hamilton, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Verstappen. I don't know.
They've not fucked it up again, have they? Yeah, at the moment we are losing Stroll, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Grosjean and Raikkonen. Superb.
Well, I'm just pointing out my tyres are a lap older, so that might have constituted a little bit. What else did I want to say about that car from 2021 in the thingamybobs? As a side note, I don't know if you've seen it as well, as a flip side, Autosport released what they think I've got a love-hate relationship with Autosport and their YouTube channel, because no one seems to be able to pick a shirt that actually fits them, regardless of how skinny or wide they are, because no one's in between. It's like one's fed off the other one. So they've put together their 2021 concept, and it's gone super, super, super skinny nose cone, as if like you can only get one leg down it, and like barely a front wing on there at all. And it still looks quite nice and pointed. It looks a bit more futuristic, I guess.
It reminded me of a car from a few years ago. One of the ones from the back teams. Could have been the HRT actually. Wasn't the first HRT really, really skinny?
Maybe the 2011 one was. I think. I can't remember.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. Please carry on.
No. But it reminded me a bit of a computer game. We're diving back a bit. When Jacques Villeneuve released his computer game, or a computer game with his name on it at least, it was woeful because it was all like, "Oh, we're 21,000 in Jacques Villeneuve's championship," and it was like wannabe Wipeout, but not really. It was a bit like that because it's quite angular, but I kind of see what they mean. But surely, because it had no front wing to clear off the air, I don't quite see how it could be much better for overtaking, just because it's got a really skinny front end. And I'm very worried with that. I don't know why, just around safety-wise. I don't know why skinny means unsafe in my land, but I guess it just suits the fact that I've got ginormous man tits.
I kind of agree with your analysis, not that I'm any kind of expert. I mean, I was kind of torn on their concept, but it was cool to see them do something like that, at least.
Oh, yeah.
the thing for me is I'm not super confident about the 2021 regulations, and I know that Ferrari are fighting them at the moment because F1's trying to standardise damn near everything, which is going to suck. They're trying to get more teams in the Haas model, is what I was reading.
Yeah, have you seen the thing on racefans.net where I forgot the name of the team? It begins with J. I want to say Gerugula, but it was like Jaguar had sex with a vegetable. And it's apparently basically a Chinese-based team, almost similar to remember when Asia Tech wanted to have their own F1 team and they just settled with a knockdown Peugeot engine.
Yeah,
it sounds like that again, and it's like Asia Tech style backing, trying to get an F1 team onto the grid for 2021. But they would have to use the Haas model because they don't have a background or anything set up.
Oh, you mean Panthera?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Oh, Jaguar. See, in my head, that works.
Which when I did hear about that, it made me think of Pantera, the metal band.
Oh, yes.
Walk! And I was kind of getting excited for the idea.
That would be good if they could then tag up as a sponsor, because then that would be an awesome post-race rock concert every round. Just travel around.
I mean, I do want to see new teams, and it seemed likely to me that Asia was where new teams are going to be coming from, given the economic situation in other parts of the world right now. Yep. But I guess that heavily depends on standardisation that Ferrari are fighting against, and it's going to be a whole political mess. And that's if the regulations even do what they're supposed to do at all. The front rows right now, it's me, you, Kimi Raikkonen, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris in the top 5.
What?
Yeah, Kimi Raikkonen is currently 3rd.
Boo. There's a comment here from Manor House. Thank you for joining. I'd like to see a bigger variation of wheel types when 18-inch wheel teams could have different wheel manufacturer sponsors and be used to showcase their models. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I'm interested. I do like the idea of bigger wheels. That I saw some concepts of that, and I think Mercedes and Lotus back in the day both ran tests with these bigger wheel rims, and it does look quite good, I thought. I just have no faith that the sport's capable of delivering a set of regulations that's going to deal with the problems everyone is identifying. And to be honest, like the current regulations, I think are really, really good. It just so happens that 3 teams, increasingly 2 teams, have got a far better handle on them than anything else. But imagine you took Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes off the grid. This would be the best season of all time.
Exactly, and I think and we always get this because the rules have been relatively standardised for a while now, and 2021 it's going to be a new regulation. We always see field spread's going to be huge with that, because if we go back to 2014 there was a good few seconds between everyone then. 2009 you had the same thing, so yeah, I do worry that everyone will expect like this panacea to come out from nowhere. It's not going to be it, and we're going to have a wider field spread anyway, just because.
About this Panthera concept, does that come with an Asian engine?
Yes.
Did you know?
I thought it. Well, there was talk of it, but apparently they've been working outside of Silverstone, and I thought, well, how many teams can work outside of Silverstone?
Well, didn't you know the population of Oxfordshire is just F1 teams and their staff? And Inspector Morse.
Well, inspecting all of the... maybe you could do the post-race scrutineering afterwards.
Raikkonen just cost me a bunch of time. Thanks, Kimi Raikkonen.
I'd watch that on BBC. What was I going to say or do? I've gone out with old tyres by accident.
Oh, that's not going to be helpful.
No. I'll have to read it back up again, but I read it on racefans.net if I remember rightly, so I'll have a wee rummage and see.
Okay, so Yeah, the staff restrictions they want to implement, Beetlejuice has just raised. Yeah, me too. And Christian Horner also, who pointed out that, well, Red Bull just get round it by contracting Red Bull Technologies, who can have as many staff as they want. George Russell and Kimi Räikkönen have both screwed up my laps. Yeah, I mean, Merc already has separate divisions, right? You just get Mercedes HPE, what used to be Ilmore, just expand them. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, whilst I agree with a cost cap in principle, I do find it very, very difficult to implement it in that kind of way. I also kind of think that would be interesting then for, like, if you've got shared... I've not read, like, the specific regulations on how they're going to go about it, but if they do go down, like, a staff route, what happens... How do they count staff that are, like, Renault focused? Because then actually, like, if they're shared out across multiple teams, does that kind of make sense or not sense? I've not read up on it, but it must be a nightmare to try and keep together.
Ballsed it.
As long as you've not been in the wall.
No, I haven't, but I was on my way. Traffic in this game really fucks me up. The AI are not the best at getting out of the way on quality laps. Like, in the race, actually, I find the blue flag AI is not too bad.
Yeah.
But in quali, they just come out of the pit lane when you're on your flying lap, and then they just get in your way for 2-3 corners, and like then you can't get the time back.
Grosjean and Hulkenberg are out. Kubitza's out. Stroll has just turned into the pits for no particular reason, so he's out. He's last by quite a way. What's Georgie Boy going to do? I'm liking with this new update that when qualifying comes to an end, it actually, like, waits till everyone's over the line.
Yeah.
Georgie's out. Well, that's not realistic. Kubitza's ahead. Lol. I think that's new. I see loads of people coming into the pits earlier, like as if they don't need to do their lap. That's quite cool. I like that.
Beetlejuice has just segued into my next topic, actually, before we get onto all the Red Bull drama and whatnot. Well, it kind of segued into it because he mentioned Hulkenberg's name, and I actually want to make a prediction because talking of the driver merry-go-round, the rumour at the moment is that Bottas is to stay at Mercedes. It's not confirmed, and Ocon has been, like, Mercedes have negotiated a placement for him at Renault, replacing Hulkenberg.
Oh.
And I'd like to make a prediction now that Hulkenberg will replace Grosjean at Haas.
That would make sense.
The reason I'm saying that is because the rumour has been that Perez is going to replace him, but I don't buy it anymore. At first I found it quite convincing, but I'm actually finding myself thinking more and more, you know, that listening to how Perez speaks, he seems very, very almost resigned to staying at Racing Point. And I'm not sure that's necessarily the best move for his career, but suddenly I can't see him changing. And I don't know why I'm getting that vibe. I think I saw him post-race interview in Hungary, and he seemed to be talking as if, like, he was in love with Racing Point and he was staying there forever.
Well, I guess once you've been through all of that kind of legal drama llamas and all of the stuff that he's had to deal with, you'd be so wedded to that team. I'd find it very unusual for him to then go elsewhere, considering that it feels almost unfinished business, especially as it's now on the rebuild. Whether or not it will actually rebuild, like, fully and properly or not is another matter, but it seems a bit weird to then go away. If you've then rolled that team out of effectively shutting down, I know I would be emotionally invested, and then I'd be like, that's my home. We're gonna do it together with a Canadian and his daddy.
Well, see, that's you say that, but that's how I thought I'd feel about career mode with Williams. But I fucking hate it now, and I want to leave. Um, so, and you've got a limited career window as an F1 driver. 2 predictions from Beetlejuice, which is Hulkenberg to Red Bull if Albon doesn't perform, and he feels Kvyat might be in the run for Grosjean's seat at Haas, but it's just a gut feeling, not based on anything.
No.
Well, I don't know actually, because the rumour now as well is that Alonso was approached about replacing Gasly.
I thought Christian Horner hated his absolute guts and said that they would never go anywhere near him. Well, it's Christian Horner, I guess. But
well, actually, I don't know if this is a rumour made up by Fernando Alonso.
What, to keep him so that he's
keep him in the news?
Yeah.
Because the door's firmly been slammed in his face at McLaren now. They've moved beyond him, and I'm so glad that they have. Norris and Sainz have been the lineup of the season for me. Like that's the one team I think where, well, them and Toro Rosso, where both drivers are really delivering.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've sort of derailed myself there. I've seen in the media recently a lot, and I do mean a lot, of pieces defending Romain Grosjean. A lot of people seem to think that it makes sense, quote unquote, to retain both him and Magnussen. And I don't believe that for a second. I do think it's time for Grosjean to go. I know the kind of they've had some similar performances here and there, but it makes sense to retain Grosjean for the Netflix producers. Nice one, Beetlejuice. As we're entering the latter half of qualifying, I'm going to activate my superpowers, and I'm going to start drinking alcohol. Ooh, you nearly lost it there.
Yes, this setup works beautifully in my career mode. It is working awfully here.
You're at alpha in your career mode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be why then.
Yeah, this isn't. I don't know what it is time-wise. Not great. I'm going to go again.
Just a quick moment to briefly acknowledge that Lando Norris is on pole.
Yes, indeed. I don't. Yeah, it does make sense for Netflix to want to have Grosjean stay around, but I think Grosjean is faster than K-Mag. He just is way too erratic for it. I think K-Mag is much more loved by the team, so therefore he would get the stay over the two. He's also a longer career prospect as well for Haas, which I think is interesting. I could see Hulkenberg fitting in really, really nicely at Haas.
Yeah, me too.
I think they have the same mentality, and I could see him. This is awful. I could see him gelling quite nicely, I think, with K-Mag, because that means that they aren't smashing into each other, and they'll have to actually be respectful of each other, so therefore it won't be like a drama alarm, he says.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I don't know if this is something that's realistically on the cards. I just had my spider senses tingling. It just seemed too obvious. Because to my mind, I think Renault pretty much decided that they're done with Hulkenberg. Kind of a shame. But by the same measure, he has thrown away a lot of points.
He has, and it's always when it really matters that it's gone down the pan. So therefore, he's got no peaks to like really say this is like a valley and the car's always down here. He's really dependable. I know we were saying this last episode. Really dependable, but when push comes to shove, it just doesn't seem to click for him. And if Renault are truly wanting to be back at the very top again, they must have alarm bells thinking, well, he won't hack it at the front, even though he's shown that he can do it in every other formula that he's ran in. So I think that's why they're kind of going, oh no. Also, it makes sense for them to have a Frenchie in. And Grosjean, I think, now committed to Haas and the Ferrari step up that never happened, is not going to go back to being their French saviour, because you've got the likes of Ocon. Gasly will not fit that shoe either, because he's now Red Bulled. Also, another interesting point, just while I was looking at on the warm down lap, queued up for once this is done. Manor House was just asking in the chat, who do we see partnering Kimi at Alpha next year, because Giovinazzi has not really shone.
You are totally correct, Manor House. He has not, but I see Giovinazzi.
I do too.
I think they don't really have an alternative for the quote-unquote Ferrari seat, and that seat, I think, is destined to go to Mick Schumacher, and he won't be ready next year. So it'll be another year for Giovinazzi, and then maybe the year Kimi retires, presumably, they'll bring in Mick Schumacher and someone, another Hulkenberg, Bottas type figure, to lead the team.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, I think we might be back to Sauber by then. I don't think it'll be Alpha anymore.
Yeah, because the Alpha brand is not really taking off, you were saying last time round, was it? That it was
yeah.
Lowest car sales ever's. Yeah, no, that is an interesting thing. I think because there's no one else obvious in the Ferrari development pipeline either. Giovinazzi for me he's almost got like a bit of a pass this year, because he's shown his one lap pace. He gets put on the shittiest strategies ever, but he doesn't seem to make any of them work either. So he's been like a mix of unlucky plus shit strategy plus fades over the course of a race. He needs to get that consistency going, because clearly the one lap pace is there. For me, he needs to Christian clean it next year, otherwise he's out. Because I remember 2004 Clean being not woeful, but he just was very much a number 2 to Coulthard, and then bang straight in 2005 he'd already been told that he was going to be sharing the drive with Liuzzi, and then they couldn't get Liuzzi in too often because Clean was doing so much of a better job that they just went and didn't really stick Liuzzi in very much anymore. Appreciate that that's like midfield mid-marker teams and drivers, but I don't ever see Giovinazzi getting much higher than where he is on the grid anyway.
No, I was kind of excited by him after he made his debut with Sauber, but yeah, no, it's not going to work out, I don't think, with Giovinazzi. And I wouldn't mind seeing Merrickson make a comeback. Maybe Merrickson replaces Raikkonen.
Oh, that would be great. 1 year, I don't think he would though. It sounds like he's absolutely loving his kart time, or IndyCar time. Sorry, don't be so 90s, Smithy. What else was I going to? I was going to say something else, and it's just completely flopped out of my brain. Lobotomy. No, fuck it, it's gone.
Well, until it comes back, since we were talking about Grosjean and Magnussen,
it's back.
Oh, go.
Sorry.
Sorry, go.
All I was going to say was that Giovinazzi came second and third in an era of GP2 drivers that have all failed. So, Palmer won. Where's he gone? Markelov never progressed and is now midfield in Super Formula, which is kind of making me pain because I really do love Artem Markelov. Who else didn't come up? Basically, loads of people that
Not
like
Friends.
Frines didn't come up. Gasly was like third and fourth in that year. So to me, there's was there a couple of years of weak selection compared to the bumper that we had like a couple of years after, and actually maybe those he was flattering to deceive because they were shorter races, one lap pace counted more. Yeah, who knows, because you do get like waves of talent, and it just might be that you're in a dip or a trough and you're just lucky or unlucky to be. That was what I had to say.
No, completely. Okay, so jumping back to Haas for just a moment. I could see them retaining Grosjean and Magnussen. It wouldn't surprise me. I'd still think it's the complete wrong thing to do. They do have some young drivers, but I think if they lose Grosjean, they'd want another pair of hands. Good point, Beetlejuice. Giovinazzi has another bonus. Ferrari usually want an Italian driver in F1, just not necessarily in their own car. Very, very true. He does have the correct flag on his race overalls. However, it may all become academic after next season, because another prediction you and I made, or certainly I made, was that we wouldn't have Haas on the grid very long, and it seems the wind's blowing in that direction again.
Yes.
There was a lengthy interview in Autosport again, and those who follow me on social media will see I posted it, where Gene Haas is saying, well, it's a business and the business has got to make money, and, we're not really making any money, and, in America you enter a sport to win and we can't win. And basically it was just this long fucking whinge that I always knew was coming, where he was like, well, we want to buy our car basically pre-built, but we also want to be able to win. And it's just, I want my cake and eat it. And I just thought, go back to NASCAR. I really did. It annoyed me. Because it's another team boss who's entered F1 with no understanding of the sport. It's Tony Fernandez all over again. It's fucking... What was his name? Alex Schneider?
Mm-hmm. Colin Collis.
Yeah.
It's Chancer privateers who are coming in almost as less on the business sense and more of a enthusiast from the outside looking in, without really seeing where both feet are going to land, which is a shame, and but entirely predictable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, the thing is, it gives me little comfort to be ultimately be proven right about Haas, because the kind of form and trouble they're having now, I predicted they'd have from the start, and they actually had 2 very good seasons. So, the truth is, as ever, somewhere in the middle, but this was always coming, and he was quite arrogant entering the sport. I mean, even though he did a proper job in terms of recruiting for the team and so on, the operational side, his expectations were totally misaligned with how the reality of F1 works. He's got a team sponsor that might not be on the car after the summer break. It sounds like they probably will be, and the Twitter account has returned to being run by normal human beings, but it's really anyone's guess which way that goes and whether the team get paid. They can't seem to pick sponsors up anywhere. I can't quite figure out why. I thought American teams would have been on board, but I guess American viewership is still kind of low. And basically, Gene just doesn't seem to think it's turning into a good value proposition, which is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Saying oh, I'm losing money with... I'm not making money with my F1 team is one of the most ridiculous statements you could make as a supposed businessman. My F1 team is losing money. Oh no, I didn't see this coming. Wake up. I don't know, I'm lost for words, as you can probably tell. I wanted to make a joke there, but I just ran out of steam halfway through and had to give up. I have nothing. He just disappointed me with that interview completely.
Nah. How annoying. So, who lose? Gasly, lol.
I
don't know what Verstappen... McLaren, you're a little bit OP, my loves.
They are a bit.
Lance Stroll last on the grid, Perez 9th, nice.
Then again, the cars have been finishing in that sort of position, they just haven't been qualifying in that sort of position.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So I actually think, particularly Ferrari, get things going. And again, this is putting Haas in direct competition with Ferrari, because they want a good relationship with Ferrari. They want to buy parts off Ferrari. Ferrari don't want standardised parts. That's a relationship that's going to be dysfunctional to the core, isn't it?
Ferrari doesn't what? Sorry.
Ferrari doesn't want more standardised parts, but Haas does, and they want to buy them from Ferrari.
Oh yeah. It's
so it's going to be a completely dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah, it's not great.
So I actually see 2020 being Haas's last year.
And then they'll bail out before they need to spend money on the 21 rigs. Yeah. That'd be a logical time to do it if you're gonna leave.
Sorry?
It would be a logical time to leave if you were going to leave. That would scare me if there was only 18 cars on the grid. Oh no. And then would that push people to 3-car teams? Please no.
It could, potentially, yeah. But I think this is why F1 are scrambling now to try and get a team on the grid. And I know Ross Brawn has set a target of having 3 to 4 realistic potential new teams. He doesn't expect all of them to make it in, because entering F1's hard, but he'd like to have 3 to 4 potential entrants that, are at least in the process. And I guess Panthera is one of them. The rest we haven't really heard. But there is another Chinese team that's been making rumblings. And also I heard that it's possible Prima Power Team, if the regulations are correct, would consider stepping up.
Prima would be a good bet because they run a good operation in lower formulae further down. In the same way, but I think it would be such a massive undertaking for what they do. I'd be more intrigued by seeing Carlin have a go because they've now got into IndyCar. Admittedly, they're back of the grid, but it's shown that they're competent in being able to juggle multiple formulae around as well. I'd be interested in seeing an Asian team come in though, because that's where they've started doing the F1 in schools and stuff like that, to try and raise up aerodynamics and that kind of job opportunity in that side of the world. And that would be really, really interesting to see how that would all come together. In the same way that I've said it before, and it's controversial hashtag. I'd really like to see it automatic that if you win the F2 championship, you and a wild card gets to drive in a standard FIA team, so that you're guaranteed promotion.
No, I really like that idea. I think there should be an F1 Academy team. Yeah. Totally.
God
a team
knows how
run by the sport itself.
Yeah.
It only has to be run on a skeleton staff minimal budget. It's not like they're pushing for the championship. It just has to be a competent back of the grid outfit that is not constantly on the verge of bankruptcy, that can give promising talent some seats.
Yeah, just hire all of Super Aguri for me, please.
And also, let's not forget, first of all, there's the risk of losing Haas, but also Honda is by no means guaranteed to be in the sport in 2021. Their board are currently in the process of making a decision about the future of their F1 program. Now, the current head of Honda F1 has said, well, these wins have come at these wins and podiums for Toro Rosso, they've come at exactly the time we needed them. And it's great that Red Bull have been so positive about pushing the Honda brand. But it's entirely possible that Honda pull out.
Mm-hmm.
So the sport really has an uphill situation going on. Wow, you put in a hell of a lap there. You're 8/10 clear of me.
Whew. That was a good lap.
Then again, I can't tell if I was pushing or not. I'm sort of a bit zoned out at the minute.
Too much Carlin Black Label.
It's gone to my head a little, actually.
I like the way how you slurred little. No, barrier.
You're not out, are you?
No. I've been begging to do that. I've been begging to do that all fucking session. Right. Into the lady box, please.
But yeah, I'm actually talking of all these exits. The one I'm pretty confident of is Grosjean. that's the one that I think is timely. But he's not the only driver at risk. We could end up Hulkenbergless.
Sunk.
And that's just the tip of Renault's problems as well, really, because I don't see Ricciardo staying there either. The rumour was that Ricciardo had already approached Red Bull about a swap back for Gasly.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and
I don't know if that was true. It's one of those things that sounds believable, but who even knows? But he's in a long-term contract there, right?
I thought so. Not that I sit there and I'm like, but yeah, it's. I thought he was there for a long-term deal because that's why they signed it up to be like we're going to end up eventually back at the front. But I think if they go attacking Hulkenberg, it's the wrong tip of the iceberg to be starting to poke holes at first. He's not your problem. There is so much going on that they need to sort out beforehand, which I know we've discussed at length many times before. But it's the drivers are the least of their issues right now.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think to be honest, Hulkenberg and Ricciardo is a great lineup.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say how much of what's happened to Hulkenberg, has been pressure in the moment or frustration with the car. I mean, who even knows? It looks like the car it's more than its fair share of problems.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the things that's kind of made me slightly concerned is that Hulkenberg says, it's got the same problems as last year's car. And I'd have thought you'd have been able to, as someone who's been the continual link in the chain, start to develop out some of those issues. So does that then become is it fundamental that he's got a specific way of driving that makes that car then not go any faster, and maybe Ricciardo has a different style and they want to gravitate towards that, and then that makes it more difficult for Hulkenberg to be able to drive something? Is it more that actually they aren't compatible in the way how they set up and want to drive a car, and that makes something very difficult to manage as a team? I don't know what Ocon's style of driving is in relation to Hulkenberg, and maybe it's more aligned with Ricciardo's. Because I always kind of think that with a team, if you've got two drivers that want something completely different in a car, that must be an absolute pig to manage to ever make something better.
Well, I mean, put simply, you have to get rid of one of them. Or you do what Haas does, which is give both drivers a totally different car.
Yeah, and then get nowhere with either.
Yeah, and watch them crash into each other. No, but I mean, to be totally frank on the matter,
Williams.
For me, it's been decisively clear actually that they're developing the car for Ricciardo. They've pretty much said as much. It does sound like they have different needs from the car, which means Hulkenberg is going to suffer more and more. But I still think he's the experienced head that you need. Although now you've made me question that view, because as you point out, he's been the continual link in the chain at that team, and if the cars are still having the same problems, then either the team aren't listening to him, or he's not a very good development driver, and he's not putting his point of view forward in a way that the engineers are picking up on.
I'd be very interested to know how much development feedback Esteban Ocon gives, because he was able to, alongside Perez and that team, get the Force India developed every time that they were stuck with a car that wasn't quite good out of the box. And you always saw that team get a step forward, and obviously the driver's feedback kind of plays a large chunk of role in that. And what I find really interesting is that Racing Point doesn't seem to be going quite as great guns in the development up the field so far this year, and that's the first year without Ocon for a few that they've not been able to do that, and I wonder if there's a correlation there. Don't know.
Fucking traffic. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, the thing about Ocon that you would be happy to have is that he's hungry. Given his background and the trouble he's had staying in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome. Thank you for joining. Yeah, traffic's balls my lap again. It's my own fault. I came out too early, I think.
I never come out when I know I'm going to cross the line anywhere between 2 to 1.5 minutes to go, because that's when they all pour out for their last lap. It's so so heavily scripted.
That's exactly what happened to me. And now I need these guys to speed up a little bit, so I've got some clean air in front of me. My tyre's going to be an extra lap worn, which sucks. Who's our favourite driver at the moment? A very good question. I'll be honest with you, I've always had a bit of a downer for Max Verstappen, but he's been my driver of the season. Although the one I'm fondest of at the moment is actually Lando Norris. I love me some Lando, and it makes me very happy to see McLaren doing so well and him doing so well in his rookie season. Do you have a favourite this year, Si?
I have to say, I am in agreement with who my driver of the season is with you, and you know how critical I am of Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen, yeah.
Yeah, but it is just hands down blowing it away. I know we're going to come onto it in the race, the whole Red Bull merry-go-round, but I'm going to be fascinated to see how Albon will do. For me, I don't really... I still love me some Danny Rick. I can't help it. Lando is getting up there, but I do like the interplay between Sainz and Norris as well.
Norris, yeah.
because oh
fuck! I've ruined my lap.
Oh no. Because there's something like even though like Sainz is in his 20s, it's almost like dad and son, and it reminds me of a bit Jack Whitehall and his dad going on adventure travels together.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually it does. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick, actually. We've got more likeable drivers than usual this time. Zero's all-time favourite driver is Pedro Diniz, though. You are correct, Beetlejuice. Everyone must love Pedro Diniz.
Damn right.
He was a Brazilian with an afro and a lot of his parents' money, and he turned into a perfectly adequate driver. I think that's probably how it's described by Brundle.
Boom.
I tell you what, credit where it's due as well. Hamilton has pretty much bossed it this year. I have to concede to you. I'm on record as not being the biggest Hamilton fan. That's more due to there's something about his personality that rubs me wrong than his driving. Yeah. He could very well go on to be the greatest driver in F1 history. I think it's entirely possible that he beats Schumacher's record before he retires. Absolutely possible, and it would be well deserved. I'm never going to knock him for his achievements. But I always find it hard to relate to successful drivers because I'm not successful myself. And I think that's the problem. I mean, my favourite team of all time is Arrows, and they went bankrupt.
Minardi! What was I going to say?
You whooped my little body there, but I didn't get to set a second time in Q3.
No, I think it's going to be interesting, and we're on the alternate tyre strategy as well, so that should be juice. I think I'm a bit more binnable though than what you are, so there's the element of that.
You do look a bit Larry, mate. You do. His catch on Verstappen at Hungary was remarkable. I like as well that he felt the need to question his engineer, and there was a point actually even I thought that the engineer had got it wrong.
Just take it easy. We should have a good race.
Don't do anything reckless, Jeff. Would I ever? I'm going to level with you, right? I don't know if anyone else watching or if Simon, if you've noticed this in your career mode, the time delta on the harder tyres is actually really costly.
Yes.
I'm finding really way more costly than previous games. And so when it's telling me now one stop mediums to hards, I'm actually thinking of two stopping medium, soft, medium.
It won't let me do medium, soft.
Because you only have one set of softs.
But I didn't use them all.
The game cares not.
fucking nudgers.
For your tomfoolery.
Yeah, there's only 11 seconds between them. I'm going to decide as I go, I think. I'm not sure. It says lap 11 for me to stop, but we'll see.
I'm coming in lap 10, so that's a bit of breathing room between us.
Okay.
Shane Bottas hasn't been quite there, to be honest. I like him as a driver. Me too. I do like Valtteri Bottas, and I actually thought he would be a good fit at Mercedes, and he has from a cultural side, but this year I don't think his performances have been adequate. Remember, there's no formation lap anymore, Simon.
Oh, good shout. Thank you. Alright, here's where we go quiet.
We both bogged down there quite badly, but you've got a much better start. Oh!
I could see the arrow. I didn't know where you were.
I just torpedoed, I'm sorry. And I've been spun!
Oh no.
It's quite alright. I will make it up. It was my own fault. I came back on the track into traffic. Bit of a mistake, that one. Bit of a schoolboy error.
I nearly done exactly what I just done in qualifying and had to like come right off the throttle.
I will come back to comments in just a minute. Is that a part of your car I just saw down at that sharp corner?
Nope. No, I've just seen another yellow flag.
Oh, Hulkenberg's round on the double left. There was an accident on the start line as well.
Wow.
Because I thought all the cars had passed me, and they should have done. Oh, there's another yellow flag up ahead. What is going on up there?
I have noticed actually since this new patch, I done one quick race this morning, and there's another one I've just seen.
One of the horses just got nudged off by Kubica.
Wow.
Well, the races are a lot more interesting, at least.
Yeah, it's oh, when someone's retired, we're down to 19 in my game.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
We're not back to the bad old days, don't worry. And
Twitch.
an Alpha's in the pits with a broken wing. Well, it's all go here today, guys.
This is clearly they've taken. Oh, we've had 3 great F1 races. Let's just fuck the AI up down to a T. But I noticed actually, I was getting the trophy because I was one question away from getting the sportsman trophy on the game. So I was like, oh, just do one more quick race because I've got a video that I'm going to put out tomorrow to show you how crazy my lineup is next in season 3 of my career mode. And
oh god, you're already through to season 3. I haven't finished 1 yet.
I've done it. I'm doing it at very short races. That's why. And it's if I told you that it's Force India, sorry, Racing Point, Badger Stroll, are effectively Mercedes, but it's Perez and Hulkenberg in the cars, and Kubica has just replaced Vettel at Ferrari. But Ferrari are the 7th worst team. It is
that has me salivating, I'll be honest.
all I'm going to do is just show you a video of what the grid is for Australia, and you'll be like, what the fuck is this?
Please do.
It's
Don't
glorious.
turn in on me, you fuck. sorry. Yeah, I would agree, Beetlejuice. Bottas doesn't have the pace or talent to stick with Lewis over the length of the season. That is absolutely the case.
Yet again, it makes me think, appreciate more Rosberg since he's gone.
Yeah, I think people are starting to see actually how underrated Rosberg was at the time.
And
oh
I
god,
think
my ERS is empty.
I think also it then, like, if you see how Rosberg is then against Hamilton, I think that also then puts into perspective how not touring Michael Schumacher was perhaps on his comeback.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. It does kind of put a whole new slant on Schumacher's return. I have no idea what happened there. The car seemed to accelerate under braking. Nice to see Kubica back and slowly improving. It is nice to see him back in a sense, but I kind of feel he's taking up a seat that could be better used elsewhere. It sort of feels a bit... a little tragic for me, actually. I think Kubica had such a great legacy as the champion we never got to see, that it makes me kind of sad to see him back and struggling, which was always kind of inevitable with the injuries he sustained and the state of the Williams team right now. I tell you something else as well. The AI has got even better at defending.
Yes, it has.
I mean, in this version of the game, it was really good anyway, but Kubica going for the overtake on Ricciardo. Yeah, the AI are hitting each other all the time. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to sit back and watch them take each other out.
Amazing.
Are you still out front? I hope so.
Yes. Not massively pulling away, though.
I'll get out of my way, AI. I'm having to brake super early as well because, you know, when you're in the dirty air.
Yeah, dirty air is a much bigger thing this time round.
You have to deploy a fucking parachute to stop this thing sometimes. I might actually take Jeff's advice, shock horror, and turn fuel mixture to rich for a lap. See if I can't get past, because I'm losing a lot of time behind Kubica.
Said everyone ever.
Yeah, said the milkman.
Boo. Well, talking about parachuting, is that a good segue to see how Alexander Albon has been parachuted?
Yes.
Don't say we've not been doing this podcast for 10 years and not learnt anything.
We can do a segue.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
My way is segged. Oh,
yeah, no, it's a great time to talk about that. A bit of a surprise for me. Not saying that it's not deserved. It's just Red Bull have repeatedly said how he was going to be, like Gasly was going to be given the season.
Yeah. As much
and
as
like even a few days before.
Yeah. Literally, like, must have been penning the contract. I wonder if, like, Dietrich Mateschitz was just, Helmut Marko was just like on a night out and just thought, fuck it, because it just seemed like
it's lashed.
Yeah, like proper out of the blue, yet utterly unsurprising, yet utterly out of the blue. That is all I can describe that entire thing. And also, like, how to upset three drivers all at, or fuck up three drivers all at once potentially if this all goes horribly wrong, because Albon's got to be on the pace there and then to show that he can stay in that seat for next season. Kvyat will be annoyed. Although I understand why they would have done Albon, because Albon is the unproven quantity and they already know what Kvyat can do in that seat, in theory, even though I think we all know that he was unceremoniously pushed out of that probably a bit too soon.
He was removed for political reasons. It was nothing really to do with his driving. It's not like other drivers haven't made contact before.
No. But outscoring Ricciardo in 2015... or 16 rather, which is all grand that way, and like relatively in comparison his speed, so they kind of know what he's like, and Albon's been matching him there, so they kind of know that he will be a tenth or two maybe off of Max, so therefore they're like, well fine, he's benchmarked, we can always stick him up if Albon doesn't match that kind of pace later on. So although it feels a bit weird to have brought in him instead of Kvyat,
yeah, he's been
we already know.
Doing great.
Yeah, than's you, John Nicholson. Bahrain does look good.
I mean, he's been hired to Toro Rosso out of nowhere as a last-minute replacement for another driver and promoted to Red Bull all in one season. He's had like the condensed mini-series Red Bull career. If he's fired before Japan, then it's come full circle.
Yeah, Ferrari test driver, but then suddenly back in, I don't know, maybe replacing Giovinazzi for the season closer. Then he's basically done my year as Daniel Kvyat. Just all done all at once. It's
quick shout out to George Russell, by the way, who's just passed Lance Stroll for P10.
What?
Williams are OP in this game, except when it's career mode and I'm driving for them, and they are the worst car by so much, such a distance that I don't think I can close it in 3 seasons. I can barely get off the back, and so I'm moving to McLaren.
I have noticed actually. So I simulate the practice sessions because I'm bored shitless with all of that. But it still gives me more practice points than what I'd have actually managed if I'd have done it properly. So I'm like, I'm good with this.
Really?
Yeah, because it gives me a pass on all 5 things, and I never used to be able to get, because I can't do the tyres. I shred them up.
You are bad on your tyres. You are a naughty boy. You're a rough lover when it comes to your tyres.
Wow, don't spread that around the internet. It's get myself a Durex sponsorship, please. It's so I'd always fail that test, and quite often I'd also fail in previous games, at least the qualifying one I'd be a bit hit and miss with as well. So no, I'd get more that way. But it's by doing the simulation of practice, I never actually make tons of inroads on the actual AI. And like in my career, you will see that Williams and Racing Point have it's like they've got ×2.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like bashing through to being like the top 2 teams. It's bizarre.
I did see a Twitter screenshot of someone's game where Lewis Hamilton was in Toro Rosso overalls. That gave me a giggle. And to be honest, I do like that it can happen. I do like that the game has it. Giovinazzi up into P3, proving us both wrong about him. Did you just pit?
No.
Oh, I can see you. I have recovered enough to be able to see you.
Hey.
You are fucking miles away, but I can see you. I'm running P4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm recovering nicely.
That's good,
Except
because hopefully you'll be able to leapfrog people.
I think second's on the cards. I don't think I'll catch you, but I think second is a realistic possibility. Then again, that said, I'm on the fastest tyre on my last stint.
Oh, you 2 stopping?
So, I am 2 stopping. It was decided. I just feel I'd lose too much time on the hard tyre. But that basically guarantees you a win, I think. Also, inadvertently, we've turned the difficulty up for this season, and yet it looks like we're on a run for the Constructors' Championship for the first time.
Oh, yeah, boy. Toro Bosso.
Toro Bosso. That's what we should have called it. I mean, the thing for me is that... oh, wow, Stroll's keeping very good pace with me. That's embarrassing. Something else I wanted to say before we get back on real F1...
Yes.
Is that I've been playing these games now for, a very long time, as of you, and I realise I'm not getting my money's worth, because I tend to do 1 to 3 seasons in career mode, and I always make a point of starting at a crap team, that I have never driven the best cars.
No, I know, we deprive ourselves of it, don't we?
I haven't driven a Mercedes, even over 1 lap, in about 5 games. It just hasn't happened.
Superb. John's asked in the chat what AI we've got it on, and I can't remember. Is it 85?
No, we're up to 87 or 90.
Oh, okay.
I turned it up from last year because 85 we found nicely challenging on the last version of the game, but we got third in the constructors, didn't we?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we got fourth the year before, then we got third, and we were really proud of ourselves that we got third, considering that we failed to finish half the races last year.
Oh yeah.
Which shows how balked the AI was. So I turned it up to the same level I played career mode on in my streams, which was 90. And yet somehow we're finding a shitload of pace, and I don't find this pace in career mode, and I'm only playing career mode like 5% more difficult. So God only knows what's going on.
And if people are like, oh, I play it on 105, bearing in mind we're having to use quite a lot of our brain capacity to also talk about Formula 1 whilst we do stuff, which does take it out of you. I've always found...
Sorry to cut you off, it knocked about 1 second to 1.5 seconds off my lap times. Is what I've found. Because you're kind of queuing up your next sentence and you try to remember the last thing you said, and you're trying to listen to your counterpart and make sure that what you're saying makes sense. And there's quite a lot of times I go through an episode almost on autopilot, and at the end I think, oh, we must have pissed off everyone who was watching. That probably made no sense. And then I watch it back and was surprisingly coherent.
This is why sometimes alcohol helps, because then you feel like you can do two at the same time and then it works. Do we league race? No, we do not, but we may do something special at some point. What was it called?
You can F2 league race now, I believe.
Yes, that was added in the latest patch. I need to get
Which
back to
made
my
me
F2
think we should do. We have to do an F2 special at some point, or like in the off season between games, we can do an F2 season.
Yeah.
Trident for the win.
Shrews.
No.
Sauber Junior team. Depends
Did
where
Kubica just pass me in third position?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
He's not pitted. I hope.
Oh, don't hold me in the pits.
They've improved that, but it's still a bit wonky on occasion.
Yeah, I got held in the pits quite lengthy. I was catching Gasly for second when I came in, and he got out of the pits before I even stopped, so that's irritating.
Yeah.
But I have recharged my ERS, so I'm going to crank that up to high, and now I'm going to get down to business, as the kids on the street say. Because I've got to make hay now while the sun shines, because I've got another tyre stop that the others do not have. Anyway, we should get back to talking about F1. So, the fact that Albon was promoted was a surprise to me, just because Red Bull seems so committed to at least seeing the season out with Gasly. And then, out of nowhere, suddenly, surprise! Alexander Albon, out of nowhere.
Hello!
And I think he may actually surprise all of us.
I do hope so.
That's my hope. I would love it if he's on Max's pace. I really would. And you know, we suddenly get two Hondas on the podium because Ferrari can't finish a race and Bottas sneezes and goes off.
To whom it may concern, take my place. Yeah.
To whom it may concern, I need a new front wing. Yeah, it's. I don't know. Bottas could have worked out so well, and it just didn't, did it? It just didn't.
No, but I think I do wonder that if it was anyone else but Hamilton in that team, if we'd be saying something completely different. But I guess it's always a coulda, woulda, shoulda for drivers that get put up against a quote-unquote best of a generation.
Here's the key question, though. If Albon doesn't match Max Verstappen and gets demoted again for next season, does that signal the end of his career? Is he entering the classic Red Bull butt plug scenario? And does that guarantee a return for Kvyat?
I think it has to return. I think it has to be a return to Kvyat if they're not going to stick with Albon. because then they've got the whole look at us, didn't we have redemption? It was right for us to do this all along. Lols. I think that would be the story that they would play out. I think it would be. It depends on how Gasly does, because I don't know who they would stick in instead. They've burnt all their bridges, and there's no one immediately there to take up the slot anymore. The only person I can think of would be if they stick in Nobuharu Matsushita from from Formula 2. It will be GP2 for me for another couple of years, don't worry. Or perhaps maybe Nairo Fukuzumi, but he's even further down the road. And I'm thinking here, who's their best bet for a Japanese Honda driver?
Wouldn't it be Yamamoto?
Yeah, so that's the other thing, is that they're saying that it's not even going to be an FP1 routing now at Suzuka, it's going to be an actual race.
He's going to race?
At Japan. Yeah, that's what the rumours are.
He's going to race in Japan for Toro Rosso?
Yeah.
With no practice?
Yep.
I don't like to use that word because it could get me in trouble with Twitch, but that's mental.
I feel like you should open a change.org petition.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he could actually be great for Formula One, but it's just mad. That's so much pressure.
Yeah, because you're relying on a Suzuka specialist potentially, as Japanese drivers often are, coming in completely shy of everything. It would be so much to ask. I think if Gasly does not show immediate improvement, or be on Kvyat's pace at Toro Rosso, I could see Yamamoto in for Suzuka and then seeing out the season.
I tell you what,
replacing Gasly.
It would make me deeply happy though if he did get another Toro Rosso podium at Suzuka. Or a Red Bull Toro Rosso 1-2. That'd be a feel-good story for me. Obviously deeply unlikely, but I would love to see it.
If it was Albon, then Yamamoto, that would be great, because I don't think we've ever had two Asians on the podium before together.
No, that's. I think you're correct.
Because we've only ever had Suzuki and Kobayashi on it, and they were about 20 years apart. So yeah.
Hold on, didn't Rio Haryanto win a few rounds? I'm sure I saw that on YouTube.
In my dreams, that was before I went back to mother. Yeah, because there's no one else. Otherwise, they're going to have to start pinching people from other people's junior formula to go, because they've already binned most people. The only other person who's kind of vaguely looking all right at the minute is perhaps Yuri Vips in Formula GP3. But he's been around for a wee while, and he's okay, but he's a wee bit erratic. But because Formula 3 is a 30-car grid, if you have a bad weekend, you qualify 22nd, and you're like, oh. And those cars, you can't overtake in those Formula 3 cars. They're woeful. It's really interesting how amazing Formula 2 is, and how processional quite often I find GP3 is. Sorry for that random backtrack.
No. I completely agree. Actually, I was trying to think of something to say that would add to the value of the conversation, but I had nothing. You just basically read my mind.
It's weird how they because it's like, oh, we're going to introduce you to DRS. You only have 6 per race, so you spot someone doing it behind, you unleash one of yours potentially, and then that's that. So then you're like, oh, okay, done.
Oh fuck.
Oh, uh-oh.
I just crashed into Bottas because my brakes locked up.
No! How's the wing?
I'm going to do a few corners and see. Yeah, it's going to cost me a lot of time. A lot of time.
Grosjeaning it. No. Say no to
It's
the
a shame
logo.
because I was back up to 5th.
Oh, wow.
Confirm change. I'm going to the hards after all.
These feel fine because I think everyone that's on mediums is going to end up having to stop again as well. Because my mediums were already at 60% by lap 11 and these lot all came in for mediums on like lap 7 or 8, so they're going to run out of tyres I think with about 5 to go and be ridiculously slow or have to do a second stop. I still think you can get back up onto the podies.
I doubt it, actually. I'm now down in 14th, and it was a long stop.
No. I can see you, I think, leaving the pits now.
Yeah. Anywho, I think also the other thing to bear in mind is we have seen Kvyat and Verstappen go wheel to wheel a few times, and I think Kvyat can handle him.
Yeah.
Do you remember Singapore last year where Verstappen couldn't get an overtake on him?
Yeah, it was really funny.
And so I do wonder if those two would actually fail to get along. Because I think Kvyat's probably had enough of being the whipping boy.
Mm-hmm. A bit like Vern, when Vern cried enough. The only other... actually, to be fair, so the only other person I can think of who is still part of the Red Bull development driver program is Sebastian Buemi. But would you come back unless it was the Red Bull seat? He wouldn't come back for Toro Rosso, would he?
That ship sailed a little bit, I think. Same thing with like Jaime Alguersuari. He's a DJ now.
I was going to say, I don't even know where he is, but see, you found him on the dance floor.
He's a DJ. Yeah, he's a DJ now.
I can't hear someone going, DJ Alguersuari! It sounds like you're shouting out for your Indian order. It's,
Tell you what, though, it's a hell of a life. Like, I'd read his autobiography.
Maybe
know, F1 driver to DJ. That's an interesting change of work.
Maybe you can do a back-to-back set with Sakon Yamamoto because he's a DJ as well. That would be F1 reject party. Foam party with F1 rejects. Would love it, and you have to fire off an extinguisher in your face. See, come on, Liberty Media.
Full of people dressed as the safety car.
Oh, cosplay, yeah.
Yeah.
We can cosplay as the token Asian pit crew member from the F1 games.
Oh, the divorced guy, divorced Asian man.
Yeah.
Oh, how I miss him.
Or the one that looks like Ian Bill.
See, I want one who looks like Frank Butcher.
Pat, change the wheels. Wheeler dealer.
Rookie. Yeah, that's who I want.
I met Frank Butcher once.
Oh, you lucky sod. I wanted him to be like my granddad.
Oh, and Caffey Bill. They were...
Oh, that's less
That's less exciting. Bizarrely, and just to finish the trifecta, we was at a dog show and they were riding on the back of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Was this like a fever dream while you were taking drugs?
No, it was at a dog show in Colchester.
That sounds like a cocaine fever dream.
Maybe that Bonio was suspect that we were supposed to give to our dog that I sampled instead.
To derail things even further, I had a dream once. Like, this is a genuine dream.
Okay.
I was in a nightclub and it was like, I mean, I've never done drugs in my life, hands down, promise, but it was like a fancy cocaine and vodka party in like an exclusive nightclub. You know, all the trappings of like luxury and this big club vibe. And I was in the VIP lounge with Richard Madeley, who asked me to do his filing, so I got really uppity and told him to fuck off. I've just binned it again.
No.
It's the dirty air into that double left-hander. I was following the Ricardo, trying to get an overtake on him, and then when you brake, nothing happens, and the car just fucks off.
Norris is up to third. Somehow. Oh no, Gasly's
That's
just
where I
done-
should be, Lando.
Oh, he's just pitted. That's why, I think.
I also met Mike Baldwin,
Oh wow.
that dodgy fuck, on a school trip. I went to the Coronation Street set. Because there's not much else to do in the north, so
Okay.
that's what you do, you go to Corrie.
Piss on the cobbles. Or throw
No,
up on
they kept us on far too tight a leash.
it. Ah.
So anyway, we should probably get back on topic. How do you rate his chances, though? Do you think this is far too much pressure to be throwing Albon into? Do you think he'll respond well?
Oh, okay. I was really confused. I was like, Mike Baldwin's?
Well, to be honest, I could see Mike Baldwin being announced as a Red Bull driver.
Red Bull driver program goes into ultimate low as they go reality TV stars. Might as well just hire back in Mark Blundell since he's buggering up his touring car. Strolled into third. How's this happening? He's on hards as well, so he's not pitting. I rate Albon's chances nicely. I think as well he's come in, like, the whole good thing about, and one of the reasons I think Albon is a feel-good story, is also why Williams have kind of, like, he's done the Williams effect, where they've just been humble about everything publicly until further notice, which has, I think, has worked a charm for him, because he's been like, when you're just like, oh, it was really, really hard and I'd done my best and it was really great, and just like blue-eyed boy, all like happy about everything. He's like a puppy. So I think he can only go up, I think, and so long as he keeps that mentality, no one's expecting him to match Verstappen. So I can't, no one's really expecting him to be as bad as Gasly either. So long as he aims in the ballpark, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll surprise people though, but I think it will take a couple of races to get into it. What will be really interesting is that if Albon cannot match Verstappen, and there is a massive disparity again, does that call into question Red Bull's car design choices? And this harks back to what I was saying earlier on about, I was going to say 2 girls, 1 cup. That's not right. Two drivers, 1 car, and how you set that up and push a car direction. Because I don't know what Verstappen's driving style is like, but is it one that's really, really difficult to master, and therefore makes it difficult for a second driver to be able to do it if you've built a car around your star driver?
It's really hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is hard to say, but given how good the Toro Rosso is in certain conditions, it's hard to say, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking forward to finding out.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a fascinating second half of the year. I think there's so many good stories for the second half of the year, I think. So there's...
I have to stop again.
Oh, no. So you've got...
It's alright, I'm having the race you had last time.
Oh, okay. Well, fingers crossed, if I do end up bringing it home, that'll give us 25 apiece, I think.
It will.
Nice. There's, like, the season's stories, for me, are... Oh, yellow flag. Who's gone off at the... Someone's...
It's probably me in the future. Oh, it's Grosjean. His engine's knackered and he's driving really slowly.
Yeah, I spy. Yep, pulling off.
You're coming up to lap me.
You should be able to pull away. I'm on the hards. Oh, 26 if you keep the fastest lap. Good point, Manna. Thank you very much. That's an interesting one. Sorry, I didn't get a notification that message had come through, John. Norris to Mercedes? Question mark. I think they've already got
I'd
their
be
British
surprised.
talent with Russell. I'd have thought.
I worried though that Russell is having his thunder stolen a little bit.
I think
I mean,
enough
also-
people inside the paddock understand what he's up to.
But then again, you know, Lewis isn't going to go on much longer, I don't think. I think 2021 will probably be his last season, particularly if Mercedes don't get on top of whatever the new regs turn out to be.
What's the one where he can go one championship long more than Michael? Is that 21 or 22?
2021.
Okay.
He'll equal Schumacher before the formula change,
Okay.
because this will be his 6th championship, won't it?
Yes. I can't see it being anything different than that this year. He is so the not non-story of the season. I'm more interested in pretty much everything else that's going on. Such is life in F1 at the minute. But yeah, I think Russell is keeping enough people amused, particularly when you see what he was up to in Hungary, when the car he was able to keep people behind him and that kind of stuff. And he's got to make sure though that it happens when it counts, it matters. Oh, sorry, you know what I mean. Because otherwise he'll end up Pascal Verlining it if someone comes along.
I mean, he's already a point down on Robert Kubica, which is one of the greatest injustices in the history of the world. I mean, that should not be a thing. That shouldn't be happening.
No, that includes you, Amazon Rainforest. How is Stroll still in third? It's peculiar. Does it continue to make me want these extra new teams to come in quickly, though, so that we have enough room on the grid for all of the good people doing good things? Other stories I'm looking forward to in the second half of the year, just whilst I've got it in my head. Will McLaren be able to hold on to fourth in the Constructors, and will they make headway towards Red Bull and Ferrari? That will interest me. Will Red Bull get second in the Constructors if Ferrari continue to throw it away? And Albon is able to score properly? That will interest me. Can Verstappen mount a 1999 Frentzen challenge on the championship? That will interest me.
Yes. I think he can.
Oh, juice.
I really think they can, and I believe now, having watched the races that I previously missed, when Hamilton says he thinks the Honda actually has more power in certain conditions and on certain parts of circuits, I actually believe him now. Seeing how that Red Bull gets away on certain parts of the circuit, like there's something about how it puts down its power. That is working very, very strongly in their favour.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just so glad that that's all come together. It's going to make... I think that will make 2020 very, very juicy. I know it's wishing the season away, but there's something about a fresh start again with that now all being proven as gelling and like having its baseline throughout 2019. It makes me think, is 2020 the one where Verstappen and Red Bull get good and get the championship run? Because they always have a great second half to the season. It's the first half that falls apart, so if they can hit the ground running...
I mean, they can't make a run on the constructors, but they could legit make a run on the drivers. I don't think Verstappen will win it necessarily, but just the fact that he's as in it as he is already a massive achievement.
Yeah.
And I do think if Albon is on song, even half the level that Verstappen is, then you have to say you can't rule Red Bull out in the constructors. In the fight with Ferrari, because Ferrari seem to have totally lost it, and I feel bad for Leclerc as well, because he started out so promisingly at Ferrari and they just seem to be crushing him.
Yeah, he sounds unconfident, because and that's the issue of having mistakes at that high level. But I feel like that's it's systematic of a team almost imploding in a way. Manor. Do we think Leclerc will get a win this year?
No, not now. He should have won in Bahrain. And actually, I think if he had have won in Bahrain, I think the season would have turned out totally different. I think
Really?
the frustration of Bahrain and then what happened in Austria, I think that's kind of shaken him. And I think that's part of what's caused him to lose his edge a little bit.
I think he's overdriving on the old overtakes because he's out to prove a point that actually, if you're going to drive dirty, then fuck it, I'm going to swipe you off the road. I don't think. I think Leclerc's more classier than that, or I'd like to think he is. I think if there is going to be a race where they do win, it will be. Spa. Maybe an outside chance at Monza. But no, I think most of their best opportunities have come and gone. I agree with you. I also think that they would rather, if they ended up in a 1-2 situation, I think they would give the win to Vettel to try and make him happy. I've not heard much more on that. Vettel's also key, so he's going to leave. Rumours, but that would be a flying.
The rumour was he might go back to Red Bull, right? But I just do not see it.
No,
I saw him
don't.
retiring as more likely, but that seems less likely by the weekend because he seems to have found his form again a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we need a pandemonium race for Leclerc to pop out on top. They just need to basically chalk this rest of this year up to experience, get their operations down properly, so that they can launch their 2020 attack. Because otherwise, they is boogered. Actually, then off the back of that, McLaren on the podium. Do we think?
It would require some attrition. But I think it's actually it's not impossible. I think it'll be Sainz if it happens.
Agree.
And it would be if Verstappen and someone else at the front took each other out, fighting for the lead. Although that said, new Verstappen is a bit more cool-headed. Well,
Yeah,
a lot
that's
more
true.
cool-headed. And I don't actually see him making that kind of mistake again. I wonder if he actually came closer to being dropped by Red Bull than we realise.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it was such a dramatic change, and like everything about his attitude has improved. Everything.
Yeah, this was what I wanted years ago.
Yeah. I mean, this is what he needed to do to show us how good he really was.
Yeah.
And that's why he always frustrated me. Because this is the driver I always saw him capable of being, but he was such an arrogant little arsehole that he was throwing things away because he was desperate to win and win now.
Yeah.
To the point that actually, even if he hadn't been able to activate his performance clause, even if he had, sorry, I'm not entirely sure he would have done. I'm not entirely sure he would have left Red Bull if they were in 4th position in the constructors.
You're in the pits.
Yeah, I put on soft tyres thinking they'd last and they didn't, and I've got nothing to lose because I was in P17, so...
Aww.
No, it's okay. I mean, at least the stream's been entertaining. I've done a lot of overtaking.
Yeah, that's cool. Manager just popped in
had
the
fun.
chat, Singapore maybe. Don't know if you can clarify that one, Mano. If it's is that for the Leclerc win or the McLaren podium? Ferrari do go well at Singapore, actually, especially if you think that was historically the Mercedes bogey track, although they seem to have turned that around a bit.
It was, and it's also a strong track for Vettel.
Yes, that's a good shout, actually.
It's one of his best circuits, I think. I love Singapore.
Oh, for
And I
McLaren
think the
podium.
whole... I suspect it is unlikely. At Singapore, I mean.
Yeah.
Unless we have something like the year before last, was it? Where everyone took each other off at the first corner?
Yes, the soggy one. Oh, wasn't
Yeah.
it so good to see a night race in the wet? Oh, that
It
made
was.
me moist.
It should be mandatory. I don't know why we don't reschedule it for the fucking monsoon season.
That's half the fun of going to Malaysia, was to see who would actually be able to stand up when the rains would come. You'd be like,
Yeah, I mean, I actually missed Malaysia. It was a track
do.
I was quite good at on these games, and I thought when the weather was dramatic, the race was also dramatic.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, next year we've got the Dutchy Grand Prix. I suppose, should we do a bet now, a year in advance? Will Verstappen win the Dutch Grand Prix, because everything needs to happen like that?
Yes, he will, because he has a habit of getting fairy tale wins.
Yes, that is true.
His first Grand Prix for Red Bull win. He won in Austria, Red Bull's home Grand Prix, when no one thought it was possible. He's done that twice now, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just got a proven track record, and like his fans do seem to really pump him up. He's like Lewis in that regard. And if Red Bull continue to progress the way they have been, yeah, I think Dutch winner at the first Dutch Grand Prix is an entirely reasonable prospect. The thing for me though is I'm not sure if the track's going to suit F1 so well.
No, I'm not a fan. Oh, Perez has just got past Stroll for third place on the last lap.
Also, question for you: is Vietnam on the calendar for next year?
I can't remember if it was this year or 2021. I shall. I don't know. We've got no Vietnamese drivers. Disgracefully.
Beetlejuice points out he loved the Carlos Sainz pre-race interview in Austria. Nice to see so many McLaren fans love to see all that orange. Yeah, I saw that comment as well. Made me giggle. Sainz has had a dog of a race.
Yeah, he came into the pits at the end of the first lap. I think he was the. You know, you said that there was an accident on the grid. I think that was him because he was already trailing the rest of the field. I just saw it was a McLaren. I didn't know who it was.
Well, I mean, I got nudged fighting Bottas, and he spun me round, and there you are.
Vietnamese next year, says Mana. So yeah, on the grid. That'll be it. I've seen that being Valencia Mark II, which could be amazing or horrific. I can't decide.
I never liked Valencia.
I didn't like it. It's just I always wanted it to. It had no flow. I didn't like it. And I don't like these fast street circuits. Either be a street circuit and just be an absolute nightmare of roundabouts and zebra crossings, or be a permanent race circuit. One or the other. Don't be both.
Well, a win on the board for you, sir.
Thank you. And a fastest lappage.
Oh, so you're leading the championship then? Because I didn't get fastest lap on my win, I don't think.
I don't know. We'll have a look in a sec. So Gasly was second, then Racing Point third, Spamilton fifth, Leclerc, Russell and Norris, and Kubica and Bottas. What the fuck? So one stopping worked because most of the people that done well were one stopping.
Yeah.
And then you
I can tell you for a fact, four stopping did not work at all. Why was Vettel disqualified?
Wrong way. Lap one.
I agree, Beetlejuice, this game is a complete meme. It just is.
Mana,
so let's take a look at our
Valencia hate it so
standings.
much. Agree. Yes, let me just advance through. See? The only good thing about Valencia was that Mark Webber smash up.
That's a bit brutal.
The epic flying.
Lewis Hamilton is our championship leader.
Oh.
You're second on 26. I'm third on 25.
Nice.
Leclerc is fourth, 20 points. Then Gasly is ahead of Verstappen, 18 points to his 15. Perez is joint sixth with Verstappen, 15 points apiece. Bottas is down in P9. Vettel has only 8 points, 2 clear of George Russell. What the fucking hell is going on?
So in 2 races, 16 drivers have scored. Wow.
Hearts are the only team with no points on the board. We currently lead the Constructors' Championship. 51 points to Mercedes 39. What the fucking hell is going on?
I'm loving this alternative world.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm enjoying
Williams
this.
7th? Christ.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you very much to everyone who joined us. Quick announcement, we actually had our most successful episode from my side last time out, racking up 160 unique views since it was live, so a lot of people still catching up on the replay. If you are watching on the replay, big thank you from Simon and myself. We're very, very grateful for your patronage.
Absolute.
And we will see you in 2 weeks' time.
We will
Have fun.
indeed. You guys take care. Enjoy. Bye, boy.
Love you, bye.